right, Saturday morning, what's going on? 58 meter, 47 meter, 800-ish yards. And I have not run this pump in probably 6 months, and it's gonna be a good time. My little routine here before I leave the yard, every time before I leave the yard, fire it up, put it in PTO, fire up the pump, make sure my volume works, make sure it pumps in reverse. Yeah, I know the remote's dirty. We'll talk to Corey about that. Naughty Corey. We'll check the boom here. Yep, that's working. All right. And lastly, I will check our accumulator pressure here. Smash the e-stop button. Make sure it falls slowly to, it's about 60 bar. I like it to be a little bit higher than that. 80 to 90 is kind of where you want to be. Even, you know what, even 80 to 100 is where you want to be. This one's around 60. We'll see. Could be because it's cold. When it warms up, that might jump up a little bit. 60 is doable, passable, but not ideal. Might need to top up our little accumulator bottle friend there sometime in the near future. But she's working. We're good. It'll get us through the day. No problemo. So we are going to hit the road. And I don't know how much footage I'll be able to get today because it's just the two of us. And I'll be running the pump. So won't be able to bounce around as much. But it's still going to be great. I promise it'll be great. If it's not great, in the trash with the video. We'll see you on site. Oh yeah, my least favorite part of the day is going to be the air conditioning has been busted on this thing for, I'd say a few years now. I just got a brand new 6-figure engine rebuild, full engine rebuild, plus a few other little things, powertrain accessories. But they didn't fix the AC, so not a problem at this time in the morning. But at the end of the day, you come in the cab here and it's a cooker. Wah wah, first world problems. Let's hit the road. Big girl turns like a race car. Better than the 47 behind. Here we go, pit stop, obligatory Canadian Saturday morning tradition. All right, here we are, set up. Took a little bit of playing around to get the outriggers situated around where the columns are poured. The bonus is 2.5 of the 4 outriggers landed right on those 3-foot, 4-foot deep footing pads. So it saved me some time in terms of not having to build a bunch of dunnage. I just had to build up there on that one front corner, which is still on prepped ground, but we still throw some good stuff down, some good dunnage down on these big pumps regardless. So, but yeah, because we got in the gate here at 6:15 and concrete it's 7. So now we're kind of rushing here. James beat me, but he had a much easier setup. We're kind of rushing here to be ready in time for when mud shows up. So what else is new in the world of pumping? Once I get unfolded here, we'll take a look around, check out the setup. 600 meters total, 120 meters per hour. so 60 meters per pump. So I'm just going to use a 4-inch whip hose. There was talk of needing some line to reach all this. From what I can see, we're going to hit it all with the boom, so I'll just use the 4-inch. 4-inch for what we do, it's adequate up to about 80 meters an hour. Anything above that, we usually jump up to a 4.5 inch. So we'll get unfolded here, we'll chuck that on, and we'll rock and roll. For today's prime, we got a bentonite slick pack concoction, just because that's kind of what was laying around on the truck here. So blast this stuff in the prime port and thump her through concrete here. I was hoping there was enough bentonite in the bucket to fill it with water and not thin it out too much, but that wasn't the case, so I added a bit of slick pack. This will be a fun little experiment. Nice and tight. Safety first for the drivers. We'll load up our water box before we get started here. I'm going to fill it a little bit higher than I normally would, because we're going to be pumping so hard here. As soon as we get going, a lot of this water is going to slosh out. As Jeff at Muddy Feet had pointed to in one of his videos a couple weeks ago, ideally I'll only fill about, so I'm covering the first couple inches of that chrome rod on this side of the box, and I'm not up on the chevron seal on the drive cylinder side, so the water doesn't get pulled in there. But I'm not going to be starting and stopping here. And like I said, once I get going, we're going to splash a bunch of water out of here anyways. But if this were like a little residential pour or something, I wouldn't put quite as much water in here. Because of the nature of what we're doing today, I'm just going to load her up pretty much. I'm pretty happy with that. These lids never seal that great. It'll still splash out from the back a bit. So here we go. Let's see what we got.
It's a non-air mix, so
oh, good.
A little gritty.
I found it. Oh boy. Mix it in reverse with the auger for a bit. Back and forward. All right, here we go. Excuse me, sir.
That's a good one.
It is relatively rocky that first bit. We're going to put our bentonite slick pack concoction to the test. Little quicker prime with this concoction. A stroke every 4.7 seconds, or maybe a little quicker. I like going through the Z prime also because the crane's in the way, but then when I stretch out, my pipes are nice and full. I don't have half a boom empty of concrete and a bunch of air to contend with when I get stretched out and start pumping. Here it comes. Here it comes. Falling into that 3-4 set of elbows there. Up and over, about 3 more strokes, you should be coming through. Just like that. I'll take a good bit here. Perfect. Fold the hose over and here we go. While I'm down here, I'm going to stretch this out. I'm going to see if any outriggers pick up, see if any outriggers shift. I always do that with the big pumps, rather than just running out to the end of the hose, stretching out and having no idea what's going on back here. So one of those instances where it'd be really nice to have a second guy or an oiler on the big pumps. I really think the industry in North America, or at least in our region, needs to evolve towards that. So fingers crossed, but I think it would be beneficial to everybody. They can pay $1 million for an 800 square foot condo in Vancouver. I'm sure they could pay an extra 60, 70 bucks an hour for the pump truck to build it. Keep everybody safe. That's my 2 cents on it. Here we are, stretched out, flat out, just reach. Let's run down, take a quick look at our outriggers here. Make sure the front ones haven't sunk. Make sure the back ones haven't lifted. And if they have, we'll adjust a little bit. We're good here. We're good there. We're good here. We're good there. What I'm going to do regardless, I'm going to crank the fronts up a little bit. Come around to the other corner. Just like that, get a little tension on the rears, and I know when we get hammering here, we're going to be nice and stable, and we won't be floating outriggers. So pump on. What I'm going to do, I'll stretch out right to here. I'll get a bit of a flow going, and then grab the hose, because there might be a little bit of air in there when we first get started, just from the prime. Just let me get a few strokes through, and then you can have at her. That's why I primed out in the Z, and I've only got the 1 section empty instead of 1, 2, 3 sections if I were to prime in an A-frame. So when we get going here, I've only got 1 section of air to push out. Much less chance for a plug, air pocket, segregation. I'll just go through nice and slow to get this rolling here. All right. Yep. There we go. And just like that, we are pumping concrete. Look at that nice little bird's eye view here. What they're pouring is the first half of an ice arena. First half, second half, and then the guys come in with the laser screed, the specialists, a local company that does all the ice arenas, and they'll do a topping on this and get it perfect, perfect, perfect. Super flat, as they call it. So, all right, so one thing I'm going to say here in this particular situation I'm in, as much as I complain about the new remotes and their fancy computer screens and everything else, this older one here, and yeah, it's super dirty. I apologize. I can do better. The spot like this where I can't hear the RPM on the pump, it's really tough to hear if it's plugged up or pressure's out, so I'm just going by eye. It would be quite nice to have an LCD readout, at least with the RPM, and pump pressures are helpful too. But really for RPM, that would be a real benefit right now. So I don't totally hate computer screens, just most of the time I don't love them. But today would be a good day for a screen. And yes, I know the argument will be that I should be back at the pump, and I will be once we have a volume of trucks to it. But right now I'm just trickling it, and I really want to see with precision what these guys are doing out here when they drop this stuff in the beam. I won't have a good enough eye to be back there. But yes, preferably back closer to the pump. You can hear better what's going on. But certain situations like this, pouring core walls, things like that, you kind of just got to be out there. Back to my earlier statement about the oilers, second man on the pump. This is more like it. Nice and close to the pump. I can see what's going on. I can hear what's going on. I can see the hose guy within reason. This is the spot we want to be in. All right, now we got supply and we got pipe slapping. It's a beautiful sound. It's a beautiful thing. Synchronized pipe slapping. Two at a time each pump. Oh, it's a happy place. One thing I will say about this older 58 meter, the pre-lightweight design era of Putzmiester boom pumps, or pretty much all boom pumps I should say, she is rock solid. Doesn't bounce hardly at all. It's a beautiful thing. Of course, we let the hopper run down. Great timing. Hey buddy, you might get a bit of air. You let the hopper run down. I'll slow it down just till it comes through. Oh, I hate that. All right, all the hard stuff that we kind of don't reach but sort of do reach is done. All easy stuff from here, right? We don't talk like that. We don't want to jinx it, but on the surface, that would appear to be the case. All right, this is a opportune time to clear out some trucks. We've actually got a bit of a backlog now. One can only pump so fast through a 4-inch hose, but you can still get some pretty decent production here. Just to catch up and get rid of the backlog. And listen to the pump make beautiful concrete pumping sounds. Yeah, we'll hammer these trucks out in the beam. We got a backlog now, so. All right, so it looks like what the plan here is, this 3/4 of the slab I'm gonna pour, and then they're gonna use James, once he's done in the corner here, to pour that. Well, we'll call it 1/3 of the slab. He'll pull that 1/3, he'll pour that 1/3, I'll pour this 2/3. He kind of runs out of reach at about this point here. So my guess would be he's gonna finish up here. There'll probably be about 50 or 60 cubic meters left for me to pour when he's folding up and getting ready to skedaddle. So service is good now though. It's really picked up. So I could see us having this poured out. It's still gonna be about 4 hours, I think. Right now it is 10:38. Oh, gotta move the boom here, one sec. Little boom adjustment there, it's 10:38. We're out of here. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm driving away from here today at 3:15. I'm washed out and driving away at 3:15. I hope I'm wrong and it's quicker than that, but I think that's about what it's going to be. We shall see. right, so it's 11 a.m. My theory was wrong. They're getting rid of James. What do you think about that, James?
That sucks.
That sucks. James left the party to get to early last night to get here today like a responsible pumpy.
Last time I ever do that.
The last time he ever does
Last
that.
time I ever do that.
And now I'm stuck here till, wow, I shouldn't whine, 5 o'clock. Anyhow, it is what it is. I thought for sure they'd at least pour a bottom in this with both pumps, get it halfway up and then top up with me, but I guess I am the chosen one. Work this boom back here. She's got some abnormalities in the boom controls, to say the least. The sections, some are light and fast, some are snail slow. James is packing up. But yeah, this thing needs some fine tuning, to say the least. I've been having to apologize a lot today to the hose man here. Oh, and of course, now that we've cut the other pump loose, I'm getting slammed with trucks. They just keep stacking in here now. We can only put it down so fast. We've just got the one placing finishing crew. It would have been nice to keep the other guy around and keep him doing a layer in the bottom, in my opinion, but we will persevere. And how will we persevere? By turning it up a little bit. So as I sit here pumping away, running patterns with the hose, my favorite thing about commercial big boom work, the thought popped into my head when people ask, what's so much tougher or more difficult about running a big boom than a small boom? On the surface, not that much. How I would break it down is that whatever mistakes you make on a small boom, the consequences or results are going to be 2- or 3-fold on a large boom. If you catch an air pocket in the hopper, you run dry, push it through, you're going to have a bigger explosion. If you make an error in your boom movements, it's going to be a lot wilder 200 feet out from the pump than it's going to be 90 to 100 feet out. When you're setting your outriggers, you got 100,000 pounds of weight versus 30 to 40,000. That much more dunnage. If there's any sort of buried utilities or anything, they're going to be that much more sensitive to that extra weight. I mean, regardless, that being said, you shouldn't have any pump anywhere near buried utilities regardless of the size. But anyhow, that's how I'd break it down. The other one I'd say is the truck is a lot more difficult to drive, especially in city traffic. You need to be a lot more mindful of your driving. But yeah, I'd be curious, others who run both the big and small pumps, note some points that you think that make the bigger pumps exceptionally more difficult to run. I think ultimately it's just a lot more responsibility is really what it is. The smaller pumps, granted, do get a lot of the tougher jobs. You know, the one-off sites that aren't really properly prepared for a pump truck or to accommodate a setup of a pump truck, unlike a lot of these commercial sites. So there's definitely some more difficult things about running a smaller pumps too. But overall, on the big boom, the responsibility is just way larger. Good idea is to learn your skills on the small pumps, and then the big booms will really allow you to hone those skills, to really dial them in. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it anyhow. That's my my 3 cents on it. Yeah, we're getting rid of some mud. We left a low spot over here, so we're just filling the hole up. We got a timely wet load. Make them pipes sing. Boy, oh boy, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trucks on site here. And we can't really put it down any faster because we just got the one placing here. These guys are doing everything they can to keep up. And it's not super thick, so we've done a couple lifts already. So I'd say we've got darn near enough concrete to finish this. But yeah, we were waiting for trucks in the morning when we had the 2 pumps. And now that we got the one, just little me, little old me here, I'm swamped. And I may or may not have had to take a piece for about the last 6 hours here. But there ain't no brakes. Maybe I'll just fake a dead battery or something. That's always a good tactic. Anyhow, home stretch now. Oh yeah, look at all them trucks. Ain't that pretty? Just as it starts to rain here. So yeah, I'd say we got enough mud on site here. So I should be out of here pretty darn close to my estimated time of 3:15 p.m. Stay tuned. Da, da, da. All right, here we are, thumping down the home stretch. They're gonna run this last truck out and then order a balance, or a tag, as some would call it. So probably have a little break here while we wait for that. But yeah, I will not make my 3:15 p.m. departure time because of that. But that's okay. All in all, making pretty good time here, so could be worse. Short that much. Let's see if we pump it or if we just fold up and they do it with a bucket. We will see. All right, here we go. It's that time. It's the pro tip of the day, which isn't really a pro tip. It's more of a don't be a dummy like I was informative minute, if you will. So, pre-fuel auto selector valve. If you don't know what that is, that's on the newer Putzes. They've got the valve that's controlled by a switch in the cab where you can draw fuel from the outrigger leg while pumping or driving. Anyhow, on these older machines, it's a good old diesel pump. You stick your diesel pump, I'm trying to do this with one hand here, bear with me. You stick your nozzle in your tank, and you can stand here and hold this thing for 10 minutes and let your hand cramp up and be miserable. Or what I do, take my tie wire here and I wrap it around the handle, camera in mouth time. This also doubles as my strap for kinking the hose over, imagine that. Anyhow, so here's the part where we get to talk about me being a dummy. I did this a few years ago and took a phone call and got sidetracked, and what do you think happened? Came back about an hour later with diesel all over the ground, probably about 400 bucks worth of fuel, and an environmental catastrophe. Luckily, in the place that it happened, it was easily contained and not a huge issue. Could have been a lot worse. But what do I do now? I go into my alarm. 2:34 p.m. right now. We're gonna set our alarm to, we'll give this about 6 minutes because I have topped this up earlier today. 2:40 p.m. Alarm set. Now, if I get sidetracked, I cannot forget. My alarm will go off. I will remember, should remember, better remember to take the strap off of the fuel filler nozzle. That is the pro tip slash don't be a dummy like I was suggestion of the day. All right, here we are exactly 6 minutes later, and I'm not even joking. I hopped in the cab to eat my lunch while waiting on our last load here, and I completely forgotten about this. See, people, I told you, it works for a reason. And yeah, apparently I'm still as dumb as I was 10 years ago, except not, because I did the alarm thing. how full she was. Oh yeah. Yeah, if I'd forgotten that, in about 5 minutes she would have been spilling over. So, thank you, alarm. Not bad. That balance load got here in like 10 minutes. So, squirt this in, pump out, pull the sponges back, hit the rodeo-dio. Alright, so we are all done. I'm gonna pump my hopper out in a Z formation on the ground here. It's pretty much empty already. Just gotta clear that last bit out of the pipes. And then I'm gonna suck back the sponge in a Z. Yes, in a Z. Works just fine. You just have to make sure the concrete's relatively wet. And the first sponge, you gotta take it back fast. You got to carry that momentum as you go up, down, up, and the pipes go from full to empty to full again. If you try and do it slow, and especially if the mud is dry, you will have problems. You'd be better off just to drop it in the cradle and suck it back that way, fold it up in the cradle, if that's your scenario. But even that being said, to do it in the cradle, you also want the concrete to be relatively wet as well. But anyhow, so I'll pump out like this, drop down, suck the ball back like this. What's the benefit? I don't know. 1 minute and 17 seconds of time saving, folding the boom up. Not much really, but every little bit counts, right? Is this best practice? No. A-frame is definitely the, you know, your highest percentage success rate. But I'm pretty confident doing this, and if it doesn't work, I'll just stand the boom up and bring it back the rest of the way anyhow. No big whoop. So, unfold the hose here, pump out, and get our sponges, get them ready. All right, so we're just gonna knock our sponge stopper pin down here, like so. She doesn't want to go. You know what helps that sometimes? A couple strokes in reverse. Watch this. Imagine that. All right, so we're gonna do here the hard ball, or as Dan would call it, the medium ball. I actually think Dan might be right. I think the hard balls actually are a little bit harder than this. Dan is smart, that is no secret, so I think he was correct. That's from a previous video. Anyhow, full volume reverse. Definitely a situation where you don't want to put water in front of that first sponge. Extra critical when you're going to pull back in the Z like that, because that water will create a bunch of segregation as you pick up rocks on your way back with the ball. Full volume reverse. Don't prove me a liar, Mr. Sponge. Camera and mouth time. And what are we listening for again here? We are listening for the sweet sound of the ocean. Where are you, Mr. Ocean? Should be there any second. That should be funny if I got this stuck. But I won't. It'll go. Come on. You know you want to. I may have actually gotten it stuck. Easy fix. We'll stand the boom up. 100% it's sitting at that joint right there, so we just have to get that third section either horizontal or vertical. Turn the pump off, lift the boom up, and watch it'll free up. Oh yeah. You're good? Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, perfect. Guaranteed it's between those 2-3 elbows, so I'll lift this up. You'll hear it go. It'll go. You hear the rocks moving in there? Watch this. There it goes. You can hear that ka-thunk when there's a vacuum lock. We're good now. Maybe not yet. Almost there? Yeah. Oh yeah, we got bubbles in the hopper now. Well, that inadvertently turned into a what to do when you get your sponge stuck in the boom video. Anyhow, I'm actually kind of glad that happened. Very low percentage that happens. That last mud maybe got a little bit too wet and segregated, but anyhow, easy fix. So now I have saved 0 time, but it hasn't cost me any time either, so we're good. We will proceed. We'll drop it back down in a Z, do our water and second sponge, and piece of cake. Now if it gets stuck on the second one, I might just have to edit this out and make sure it never makes its way to the YouTubes. Use lots of water, flood this right out. Throw in reverse, stroking at about 30% volume to pull more water in there. Now the 6-inch sponge is so big it almost seals up inside that transition door, so you don't get the as distinct of a sweet oceanic sound. But we'll know when she's back. She is. She's home. Just like that, we're done. Anywho, that'll be it for today. Like I said, the impromptu lesson. If you choose to suck back in a Z, and by low percentage chance it does not work, as it did not today, it's always going to be in that up-down junction at your Z point. So just make sure to get that section elevated, and she'll come back. If she doesn't, don't call me. No. But anyhow, you know how it goes. Like, share, subscribe. ×3. Over and out.